Hey, Monday movie fans. Now we have two. This week, we're back to 1998 with a two-time Oscar nominee that year, Out of Sight, starring George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez, and directed by Steven Soderbergh, adapted by Scott Frank from Elmore Leonard's novel of the same name. I'm Frank Gaffney. With us, as always, Jolie. He's giving us cheers today. And Goldfook and Krinjar. So cute.
Aw.
Annie King, did you dye your hair?
No.
Oh, it looks lighter. Is it where are you?
I'm in Accord, New York, at a little bungalow colony thing.
Oh, nice. And Mark Wotitzgartner. No picture.
Whoa. What do you mean?
There's no picture.
Do you not see the picture behind me?
No
No.
picture.
Oh, it must be out of sight.
Ah. Oh,
I'm here all week.
I'm gonna mute him now.
Please do. Did you really do that on purpose? No. All right, here's the plot. George Clooney is a career yet somewhat inept bank robber since he keeps getting caught. And he breaks out of jail and shares a moment of mutual attraction with an ambitious U.S. Marshal he has kidnapped, played by Jennifer Lopez. The two Oscar nominations were for Scott Frank's great adapted screenplay and Anne V. Coates for her editing. So rather than telling the story in a linear fashion, which you don't realize at first, we get multiple flashbacks. And that's where the Oscar nomination comes from. Editing! Kind of stole a little bit from Pulp Fiction, no? But the movie just goes round and round. It kind of reminded me, some of you youngsters won't remember this, but people would just go to the movie at any point of the movie. They just go, and then they would sit there and watch. It'd be in the middle of the movie. They didn't care. And then at some point, they'd go, oh, this is where we came in, and they'd leave.
100%.
Yeah, they would just watch it from the middle to the middle. And this movie, you can definitely do that, I think.
Yeah.
And so there have been quite a few adaptations of Elmore Leonard, but I've never read any of his, so I don't know how faithful this was. Joel?
It's pretty faithful.
Okay. But what it does have is great dialogue, interesting characters, and compelling plots based on human behavior rather than contrived twists like some of the movies we've been watching. It's all smart stuff, right? From Clooney and the first fun moments when he's robbing that first bank, he never uses a gun, and to the final scene where he's in the back seat of Lopez's car. Just so much fun. And director Steven Soderbergh weds the two aspects of the story. There's a love story and a crime caper story, and they're together so beautifully that I kept saying, hey, you got a crime caper in my romance. No, you got a romance in my crime caper.
Funny.
But I think the one misstep now, looking at it now, and again, minor nit to pick, is the overuse of the brief freeze frame moments.
Yes.
I feel like, and even though it's supposed to highlight that particular moment, it just happens too many times, and it kind of dates it. I think now it's a little.
I hated that, and I feel like they did that a lot in Rocky too, which drove me crazy as well.
Wait,
do you mean Rocky? Here we go again.
Do you mean Rocky
I know
also?
you're gonna say Rocky also. Yes, Joel.
Did they use it in Rocky too? I don't know. But terrific supporting cast. Ving Rhames is perfect as Buddy, the tough, reliable dude with a couple of unexpected weaknesses. Albert Brooks, the right amount of sleazy, whiny, and almost unrecognizable with that with that toupee as the Weasley criminal millionaire. John Cheatable. He's cheatable. Suitably vicious as one of Clooney's acquaintances from prison, who's now living in Detroit and bordering on psychotic. And Steve Zahn, who plays his usual stoned, perpetually stoned character. I'm probably the most openly comic one in the movie. And of course, there are a couple of memorable cameos. I think we can spoil them now.
Yes, 10 years later, you're good.
Okay. Michael Keaton being one, though the previous year, Keaton was in another Elmore Leonard adaptation, Jackie Brown, which was adapted from which novel?
Rum Punch.
Punch. Where he
Rum
played
Punch.
this Rum Punch. I
Yeah.
thought you said From Punch.
No, Rum Punch.
Rum Punch. Where he played the same character, and that is also in the Out of Sight novel, I guess.
Yes,
right?
Ray Nicolette is Elmore
So
Leonard
he
and
thought
the
it would be
team.
fun to make this appearance, and it is, Michael. It is. And the other being that final scene in the back seat with Samuel Jackson. It makes you wonder why there was never a Clooney Jackson Lopez sequel. I'd love to see that. I mean, it'll be fun. So this is this is funny because next week, right, is Secret Invasion, and both Don Cheadle and Samuel Jackson are in that.
Sure.
So a little duo. So it gets a solid 3.25 stars from me. I enjoyed it. J-Lo holds up her end just fine, which is interesting. And this is where Clooney really perfected his charming self and proved that he was a movie star. They're great together, and it really is a compelling thriller from start to finish. Joel, so you're a fan of the Elmore Leonard?
Yes, I've read a few of his novels. They're
That's
great.
the ones that made it to movies?
No, I've read a couple of the others that haven't.
So Get Shorty, right? And
Get
then
Shorty,
Brown.
right? Is Out of Sight. The
I
TV.
remember Get Shorty was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, and
I actually read Get Shorty before it ever became a movie. I don't know why I read it. It was the first time I'd ever heard of Elmore Leonard, and I loved it. I don't think I loved the movie nearly as much as the book.
He is a wonderful
Great writer.
Yeah, wonderful writer. I've read Freaky Deaky, Maximum Bob.
Have those been made into movies?
Maximum Bob was made into a
was.
TV series with Beau Bridges. Freaky Deaky, I don't think has. I could.
Well, let's get on that, shall we?
Yeah. Well, the TV series Justified was
right.
And Out of Sight actually had a TV series version of it called Karen Sisko. And
actually,
it is only 10 episodes. It was a really good series, honestly. I'm not sure why it tanked.
And who played Karen Sisko?
Carla
Carla Gugino.
Gugino. And it's funny because her character essentially appears in Justified, but they couldn't call her Karen Sisko, so they married her off. So she's Karen Humperdinck or whatever her
Bosco.
Is it still Carla Gugino and Justified?
Yeah, it's still Carla Gugino. And
funny. That's great.
Yeah, so it's kind of
those little connections.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
So had you, Joel, I assume you'd seen this back in 1998.
Yes, I saw it back in 1998. I had read Elmore Leonard by that point, partially because both in college and grad school, I had heard a lot about him as an author. So I kind of sought him out on my own. And I had actually had the chance to meet Scott Frank while I was in grad school in Miami. Dan and I were tasked with, he came to speak at the school to talk to the screenwriting students, and Dan Friedman and I had the task of driving him to and from the airport. So
which project had he already done at that point?
At that point, he was mostly known for Dead Again.
Okay, that was a good one too.
Yeah, he's a brilliant screenwriter. I think he really understands characters and dialogue.
Right, and most recently was The Queen's Gambit.
Correct, yes.
Which was great.
But I was also, I was a huge fan of Steven Soderbergh as well. He's one of those directors that it's like, he could, make a piece of crap and it would still be interesting. Which I guess kind of where Magic Mike falls in, but
he did that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's done some really interesting stuff over the years, but
I read that this one was his effort to get out of the independent film.
Correct, and it helped. For a bit. I mean, that's I think this led to the Ocean's movies and stuff like that.
And George Clooney, they've done a few.
They've done a few together. I love this movie. I think it's all it's well written, it's well directed, it's well cast. There's really, I would agree at this point that that freeze frame bit is kind of dated and wonky at this point. It's one of those films you'd have to go back and look at, all right, why are we picking these specific moments to highlight in this manner?
Right.
And I don't have the energy for that at my age. So, um, but I
Well, how
love.
fun was it really when you see George Clooney come out of the bank the second time and you're like,
Yeah,
ah,
and now you understand why he was so frustrated and
yeah,
robbed the bank at the beginning of the
yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah. It was
Um,
great.
and there's lots of great moments like that. Looking back, there's that, you look at the film in and of itself, you're like, why weren't some of these people nominated for, acting awards that year? But then you look at what
Right.
was nominated for the acting awards, and you're kind of like, oh, I guess there really wasn't room
Was
for
room.
everybody.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um,
What? Wait, I think I looked away for a second. Why was Jennifer Lopez at the prison in the first place?
she was at,
That she happened to see him there.
yeah, I'm
Make
trying
no
to remember.
sense.
She
No,
was,
they said it. She was talking to Dennis Farina, her dad, about it. I
Yeah.
got to go there to do
do
something.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
She was picking up someone or
something.
transporting something, or there was,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I don't remember the specifics, but there was a reason why she was there.
Yeah.
So,
That was
and
the
that-
only moment I was like, why is she here?
that was one of the things that threw me is, okay, she has a reason to be there, but she pulls into an empty parking lot at night outside a prison, and then like other cars are like pulling in. But it's
Just
like,
Right.
Ving Rhames pulls in right behind
At
her,
night.
and
Why
as a
isn't she
federal
like-
marshal, you would, yeah.
yeah, it was like, why
Question
is she not
after
like questioning this at that point?
Right. That's
um,
funny.
how busy is a prison late at night in Florida?
Yeah.
Go research
Oh.
that, Frank.
It's Florida.
I just think it's a fun film. It's got a lot of repeat, viewing value to me. I've seen it a few times. It was funny. When I mentioned to Natasha, this is what I have to watch, and we were watching it yesterday. She was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that movie. I hated it." I was like, "You hated it?" She's like, "Yeah, we saw it." She didn't remember a thing about it. She thought we saw it together. I was like, "No, I saw it in 1998, and we didn't know each other then."
Right.
So, but she did enjoy it when we were done watching
This
it.
time.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3.5 because the team of Steven Soderbergh and Scott Frank kind of push it up a little bit more for me. So,
Not to mention the delicious George Clooney.
Oh my God.
Annie, had you seen it before?
Nope, first time.
And I would think maybe you would enjoy this movie.
Not as much as you would think. I will say that I was tired and I had already had 2 glasses of wine.
Oh my God, you're doing my review. You're doing my review.
So I kind of like was in and out of the beginning a little bit. And then I had to ask Danny, why is he back in prison? And why is he wearing the yellow? And he was like, no, it's like a flashback. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I got a little bit confused because I was a little bit in and
Drunk.
out of the movie. Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe that's why I didn't know what Jennifer Lopez was doing at the prison. Must have been
Maybe.
drunk.
Yeah. But it was fine. I did wake up after like the first 10 minutes. I just needed that little bit of a snooze, but then it was fine. I just didn't think it was that special for me, at least. Sorry, Mark, took your whole review. Yeah, so I don't really have that much to say about it. So I'm giving it a 3, but maybe I'll catch it again.
Okay. So Mark, what? Now she did your review. You want to just had
It
you
was.
seen it before?
No, this is my first and probably my last. Oh no, that's not fair. Maybe I would give it another shot. I've never seen it, and I it's funny. I love Ocean's 11. Hell, it's on my list for later on this year. And I can see elements of it in here, but similar to what Andy said, I was out Friday night from my wife's opening show. And it was a long one. It was over 3 hours. So we didn't get home until midnight. And then Danielle, actually, of all people, wanted to have a glass of wine. So I was like, I'll have a glass of. We went to sleep at like 2 a.m. So I was very tired yesterday. And similar to Annie, I think I missed a few minutes of the movie too. But not until later on. I was awake for the first half. The second half was a little bit, but I guess just like we talked about a few weeks ago. I forget what movie it was, but Jennifer Lopez is a federal marshal. The way that she was captured and put into the trunk, and there was supposed to be sexual tension there, it was like a 12-year-old boy's wet dream, and that's coming from me. I didn't buy it. The fact that she was carried to a car, there were 5 prison guards 5 feet away, and she doesn't scream. This is
that whole scene drove me crazy too.
Right, and then she's in the thing, and George Clooney's pressed up against her, and she's like, "Oh, are you?" It was just so cheesy.
Yeah,
I didn't buy it at all. Yeah,
like, well, yeah, that's
it.
what women are there for.
I think you have to go. Part of it is, I think you have to be familiar with some of the movies they're talking about while they're in the trunk, because they're talking about specifically in 3 Days of the Condor, the romance between Faye Dunaway and Robert Redford that comes out of nowhere. I think this scene is very much a play on that.
Well, but I mean, doesn't he kidnap her in the first place because it's love at first sight? He's like,
yes.
I need this one.
Gross.
Anyway,
it was mutual.
I just didn't buy that part, and it just really kind of set the tone for me. And then Don Cheadle being cast as a hardened criminal.
Oh my God, I loved him.
In this, I love him in everything, but I did not buy it. He's just
I totally did.
Well, this was before he got all soft and gushy.
Yeah. And you're gonna hate him next week.
I've seen the whole thing already. No, but I bought that. I without giving anything away, that I bought, because he wasn't a hardened killer like this. Anyway, well, he was, but not in the same way. I guess for me, I just to me, it was like Ocean's 11 light. So anyway, I'm giving it 2.75 stars. Ray Nicolette's cameo was wasted. I was all excited for it, and I just didn't need to be there.
Who's
I didn't get and it wasn't
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, yeah, that him too. Yeah, I don't know. Just didn't work for me.
I
had never seen it.
Did you have 2 glasses of wine and were sleeping at the time?
I had no glasses of wine, but I was very tired last night. It took me like 4 hours to watch the movie because I'm so damn popular on Facebook Messenger and texting. I always have to hit pause and answer. So it takes me a very long time. I'd much rather watch a movie in a theater because of that.
So you're basically blaming Mark and your bazillion texts over the course of last night.
Oh, yes. I was very much watching the movie last night when Mark wouldn't shut up. I mean, kept texting.
And you can't ignore your fans while you're watching a movie.
Yeah, exactly. I had started the movie at like 6:30.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I hated Steve Zahn. I hate that one character in a movie that's so over the top, silly. It's just so old and stupid. But yeah, I loved Don Cheadle. I loved him. It was just so fun to see him playing such a thuggy type guy. Loved him. I loved everybody in the cast, really, except Steve Zahn. But it was just his character. I think he did a really good job with a character I didn't like. I did find, and Mark, I thought of you mentioning time travel, flashbacks a couple of weeks ago, and I did find some of it very confusing. So because of that, I really don't have that much to say about the movie, which I did enjoy. Because of that, it goes from 3.5 to 3.25 as well. Because I did find that was a flashback, shit. And then the moment where he walks out of that security job, and that's when he goes to rob the bank from the beginning of the movie. That's a beautiful tie-in. I love when that happens, but it didn't register for me until I read it on IMDb.
And it was last week at your movie, The Right Stuff, that's where they gave updates, and I really appreciate it because I do hate when they exactly what you're just saying.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of The Right Stuff, have fun seeing Luis Guzman in such a completely different role a week later. I thought of you, Frank.
Well, that was from We're the Millers.
Oh, yes, with
Yeah,
the Millers,
2
that was
weeks
it.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't in the right stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, right, the guy at the bank that George Clooney says, you see that guy over there, he's gonna kill him. That was Steve Soderbergh.
Oh, I didn't know that. But I meant to say that I did appreciate that opening scene. That was very clever.
So clever because, oh my God, he wasn't with him at all. He's like, what the hell is that? That
Fantastic.
was great,
That's how you rob a bank.
right?
Without a gun. Yeah.
And is that Elmore Leonard's doing or Scott Frank's?
Yes.
What, putting Steve Soderbergh in?
It's been no the
Oh, that,
bank robbing. It's been a while since I've read the book, so I
Right.
don't remember.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I definitely could see where yeah, the Steve Zahn thing definitely has become a little dated thing too. But it's so cute how, we're set up for him even before we see him, because George Clooney says if he's wearing his sunglasses.
Yeah.
And that just sets you up to know that you already are going to be annoyed at this character. And surprisingly for Jennifer Lopez, I mean, this was one of her early things when she was still, she wasn't quite tabloid fodder yet. So it was really good to see her. And I read that who was the other runner up? Oh, was Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
And Sandra Bullock just Steve Soderbergh said George Clooney and Sandra Bullock had a nice chemistry together, but it was for some other movie.
Yeah.
Had they made some other movie?
yeah, it was based on some movie they had just made, wasn't it? Because I just read the trivia.
Did they make it? I can't remember shit anymore.
Was
I
Sandra
could be
Bullock?
remembering it wrong.
Was she the one that Ticket to Paradise? No, that was Julie
No.
Oliver.
I'm gonna look it up.
Anyway, if those two want to do a movie together, I'd be okay with that too.
Oh, hi.
All right. Anything else?
No.
Yeah, I'll
Well,
never find it.
I just want to address Mark with the cameo, the Michael Keaton cameo. At the time,
Yes,
it
of course.
was-
At the time, you would have been totally like, "Oh my
yeah, it's and the amount of people who actually saw Jackie Brown beforehand and saw this, there's a very small pie wedge on a Venn diagram that
God!" But also, of course, nobody knew when they were making Jackie Brown that it was going to be a small pie wedge.
this is true. They assumed it would be
Now
big.
Jackie
It was a
Brown
very
though,
cute-
is that I would watch that over and over again.
Well, you're
It was
gonna
a
have
very cute and clever, very
looking
cute
forward
and
to it.
clever cameo.
Okay,
So,
I did remember it wrong. Soderbergh was against putting them together. I spent time with Clooney and Bullock, and they actually did a great chemistry, but it was for the wrong movie. I'm sure they could do a movie together, but not an Elmore Leonard movie, as
Right.
we know they did. Gravity.
Oh, Gravity.
Yeah.
Okay, the best,
Many years
absolute
later.
best thing about Gravity was Tina Fey and Amy Poehler at the Golden Globes saying that George Clooney would rather die than date a woman his own age.
Yeah, that was
I remember
brilliant.
that. I remember that.
Oh my God.
God. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Well, some of us really enjoyed it. If you want to watch Out of Sight, it's available on the Peacock. If you
Mm-mm.
subscribe
No.
to that.
Nope.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Paramount?
Nope.
Nope.
Wasn't on the
Nowhere.
Peacock?
Not
Why did I
anywhere.
write it? It's
Library.
not anywhere. You're out of luck. You'd have to rent it like Annie does every week. How much was it this time?
$3.99.
$3.99.
$3.99 on
They're
Prime.
never that expensive on the
Prime.
the services when you have to rent them.
Or get it from the library, which I did because some people, I'm pretty sure I watched it.
Or
I
be
watched it.
Joel and just own it.
No, I went to watch it on the Peacock, and that's when I had to, drop it out of some box somewhere because it wasn't on Peacock.
Just happened to fall out of the sky.
Out loud.
All right, so next week, all right, Aim, gird your loins.
Oh, yeah, I
We are
know.
going back to the MCU, the TV series Secret Invasion. It's 6 episodes, but it's probably around 4 hours.
The
If
it's
Not even.
Not even that last episode was like, they're really taking like 35 minutes to wrap this shit up.
Yeah,
know.
it was like I think the last 2 or 3 were only 30 something.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
good. Because I looked last night and the first 3 were like 55.
yeah, I did watch the whole thing this week.
Me too.
Okay, I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch a movie.
And also with you.
I did